Hello, good afternoon. We are here on the last day for many of us of the permanent forum at the United Nations on Indigenous issues. And I am here today going to have a conversation about a few topics, so I'll get right into it. Well, before you answer, please briefly introduce yourself, please, so we know who we're speaking to. And the question is, after you do so, what are some of the big picture and topic areas regarding Indigenous youth in care that you feel we should address?
Thank you so much. So, hello, my name is Alejandra Gomez. I am First Nations Ojibwe Cree, and my father is also Yucatan. And my work is centered around the child welfare system, especially around racial equity and human rights. I've done work that is international as well with Indigenous solidarity. And regarding your questions with the big picture that I feel like we should address within the child welfare system is the intersectionality of understanding that when we're talking about not only environmentalism and we're talking about land back and we're talking about social justice issues, do we need to acknowledge children that are being displaced and taken, especially youth that come from the child welfare system? We have to understand that this is a connection to the land, it's a connection to the resources, and when our children are being taken away, that also means that our knowledge is being taken.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. The second question is, how can families and children thrive when there are attacks on the water, the land, resources, a sea of colonialism that we face?
Yeah, so I think that they messed up the question, but the I can answer this one though. The question was, how has connection or lack of culture connection impacted me long term? As a youth that has come from the child welfare system, that before that was with my community and was connected to my indigeneity. This is actually the reason why I'm here today, focusing on children's rights, especially Indigenous children in the self-determination. And the International Human Rights Framework for Indigenous Children and Youth outlines the unique and devastating challenges Indigenous youth face from intergenerational effects of colonization, assimilation policies. And I know these challenges firsthand, seeing how colonization has interrupted my own familiar kinship ties, while ongoing assimilation practices and systems such as the residential schools, the Native American boarding schools, the 60s scoop, the Indian Act, and current day, modern day child welfare and the attack on the Indian Child Welfare Act has affected my communities.
Okay. Sorry for if I messed up anything. But great answer. Thank you for that. And hopefully I get this one right. But what are existing barriers confronting Native children and families, and how do these barriers connect to historical assimilation?
Thank you so much. This is one of my passionate questions that I really love to talk about, especially when we're discussing intersectionality with Indigenous communities. From the Indigenous people of Turtle Island to Abayala to beyond to those in Palestine and Congo and Sudan, Indigenous children across the world are being taken and orphaned and forcibly displaced through imperial violence enacted by colonial governments and corporate interests. As a result, we are witnessing in real time the eradication of generations of newly reclaimed ancestral knowledge across Indigenous youth of today and the future. Because of this, we have to think about this for a moment, what it is like to lose your direct connections to traditional family, the structures that impart your language, your spirituality, and traditions. To be severed from those community relationships, ceremonies, and traditions that solidify your identity as an Indigenous person and having to continue with such loss of family, loss of land, and loss of self. To this day, Indigenous youth continue to endure that violent nature of the foster care system, and this itself is cultural genocide.
Thank you very much. And for the final question for today, I would like to ask, what are topic areas or points you'd like to make specifically in regards to the long-term healing and well-being of Native children, youth, and young adults?
Thank you so much. To address the long term healing, we must start with transparency. We must understand how colonization, colonialism, and current day assimilation practices affect our communities to this day, not only in Turtle Island, but in Palestine, Sudan, Tigray, Congo, and amongst many other communities. And Indigenous youth, again, are currently still being displaced and orphaned due to the ongoing genocides. I believe that we must understand that children are the future of today and tomorrow. And because of this, the US and Canada, the child welfare systems that they hold, they must make sure that they are putting Indigenous youth at the forefront and protecting them. This means that putting Indigenous people with lived experiences in leadership spaces like policy, whether that be public speaking or even listening to youth with lived experience.
Thank you so much. And we will provide more information how you could connect more on the work that you are doing and whatever you continue to do in the future. I know it's going to be amazing. So thank you for coming and joining us.